Once upon a time, there was a mansion with a beautiful and large garden. The garden was very spacious and always full of flowers. The green undergrowth was like a soft carpet. The peach trees bloomed with sweet-smelling flowers, and in the fall, they bore lots of delicious fruit. The little birds also loved this garden and sang joyful songs with joy. The entrance to the garden was properly locked. But it was really a very beautiful garden, so children would use a small gap in the thick hedge as an entrance and exit, and spend their time in the garden before returning home from school. Then one day, a giant who owned the garden and the mansion finally returned after 7 years from his friend, the ogre's house far away. As the giant approached his beloved home, he heard the cheers and laughter of many children coming from the mansion's garden. So he opened the tightly closed gate and found small children running, singing, and playing all around. "What are you all doing? Who told you to enter this garden?" The children were so startled by the sudden loud voice that they ran away. Then the giant surrounded the garden with a high wall and put up a sign saying, "Anyone who enters this garden will be severely punished." The giant was very mean and twisted. Then the children could not enter the garden on their way home from school. And instead, they would wander around the wall, aimlessly, reminiscing and talking about the beautiful garden where they used to play from the street outside. The seasons passed, and spring came with warm sunshine. Then, wherever there were trees and flowers, birds sang, and it was a time of bright light and pleasant breezes. But what happened to the giant's beautiful garden? Not a single flower bloomed. Inside the wall, it was still winter, and snow was still piled up on the ground. Then, summer came, but summer did not come to the giant's garden. Autumn did not come, either. The giant's garden remained winter all year round, which the giant found unpleasant, and he was always cold and complaining. So the seasons never seemed to change in the garden. But one day, when the giant woke up in the morning, he heard some very pleasant music. Thinking that it must be some great person's band, as it was such beautiful music. He went to the window and found that it was only a small bird singing a pleasant song. "Oh, I see. It's finally spring." Thinking this, the giant leaned forward and looked out over the garden with joy. He was surrounded by a wall, and many children were sitting on the branches of all the trees in the garden, singing joyfully with little birds perched on their hands and shoulders. Looking around, he saw many flowers blooming on the green carpet. The giant saw this and thought, "Yes, that's right. A garden with so many children having fun like this is much better than a cold, lonely winter garden." He looked around with a smile at each of the children who seemed to be having fun. But then he suddenly looked towards the corner of the garden. It seemed that it was still winter, and there was a small boy standing by a cold tree. The boy looked very envious as he saw everyone climbing the tree. When the giant saw the boy, he felt a warmth flow through his heart. And he truly regretted what he had done up until then. He decided to let the boy sit on the tree, and then tear down the wall so that the children could play whenever they wanted. With this in mind, the giant appeared outside, and the children ran away as fast as they could, thinking that he would yell at them again. The boy was crying so hard that tears welled up in his eyes. So they didn't notice the giant coming. The giant gently picked up the boy, so as not to scare him, and gently sat him on a branch higher up in the tree. Suddenly, white flowers bloomed on the tree, which had previously been nothing but branches. The baby birds came and began to sing happy spring songs. Hearing this, tears filled the giant's eyes, and the children who had run away. Seeing this, all came back and began singing happy songs and dancing and having a good time together. The giant said, "Come on, everyone. This garden is yours." From then on, whenever the villagers passed by the garden, they would often see many children and the big giant playing together among the beautiful flowers. Both the children and the giant spent truly happy days together.